Elara's room on Luna 7 was a cocoon of engineered comfort, a soft hum of recycled air and filtered light against the vast, silent canvas of space. Outside her panoramic window, beyond the triple-layered duraglass and the faint, shimmering shield of the atmospheric containment field, the earth hung like a giant, marble blue jewel, swirling with white clouds. It was beautiful, yes, but it wasn't home, not in the way the stories described. Home in the stories had green grass and open skies, and stars that glittered without needing a special filter. Her actual room, though, was all her own. It smelled faintly of synthesized lavender and the metallic tang of new tech. Her bed, built into the wall with soft, self-adjusting memory foam, was her favorite place. Tonight, as every night, her small spherical companion, Lumi, floated patiently beside it, its single optical sensor glowing a gentle amber. "Good evening, Elara." Lumi's voice was a soft melodic chime, perfectly pitched to soothe. "It is 21:00 estate. Time for story and rest." Elara, a wisp of a girl with hair, the color of polished moonrock and eyes that reflected the distant earth, giggled, already tucked beneath her favorite star chart blanket. "You always say that, Lumi. And it's not just story, it's your story." Lumi rotated slightly, a tiny mechanical shrug. "Indeed, your mother has requested the voyage to the Whispering Nebulae tonight." Elara sighed contentedly. That was her favorite. A tale of brave explorers who discovered a nebula so vast and so intricate, it seemed to whisper secrets across the light years. It reminded her of her mother, Dr. Iris Thorne, who was always discovering secrets, though usually they involved quantum physics and interdimensional algorithms, not whispering nebulae. Her mother, Iris, was the lead astrogator and xenophysics specialist for the entire Luna 7 research colony. She was brilliant, everyone said so. Elara knew it was true, because her mother often spoke in words Elara barely understood, like gravitational lensing anomalies and subetheric resonance signatures. But when Iris looked at Elara, her eyes, the same earth blue as Elara's own, softened, and the complicated words vanished, replaced by simple, loving ones. Tonight, however, Iris was late. The hum of the colony usually quieted by this hour, but Elara could still hear the distant thrum of the main reactor core, and the faint, rhythmic pulse of the comms array. Her mother had been spending more and more time in the Deep Space Observatory Dome, a vast, spherical structure perched on the very edge of the colony, almost touching the vacuum. "Is Mom still at the D-Dome, Lumi?" Elara asked, her voice a little wistful. Lumi's amber eye pulsed. "Dr. Thorne is currently engaged in a Level 5 observation protocol. She estimates her return within the next solar cycle." A solar cycle meant tomorrow morning. Elara's shoulders drooped. Oh. She missed her mother's goodnight kiss, the way Iris would trace patterns on her forehead with a gentle thumb. Sometimes, Iris would even project a tiny shimmering hologram of a new celestial object she'd discovered onto the ceiling, a personalized, silent lullaby. "Shall I begin the story, Elara?" Lumi prompted, sensing her disappointment. "Yes, please," Elara whispered, snuggling deeper. As Lumi's soft voice began to weave the tale of the Whispering Nebulae, Elara gazed out her window. The Earth was so far away, a blue marble in a black velvet box. And beyond it, in the deeper black, were the true stars. But from Luna 7, even with the dome's advanced light filtering, they were just pinpricks, faint and indistinct. The colony's own internal light pollution, the gentle glow from the agricultural domes, the habitat ring, the research labs, all contributed to a perpetual twilight that muted the grandeur of the cosmos. She yearned for a true star, one that glittered and sparkled, just like in the ancient Earth poems her mother sometimes read to her. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star," Iris would murmur, her voice rich with an emotion Elara couldn't quite grasp, a longing for something unseen. The story of the Whispering Nebulae drifted her towards sleep, but a tiny seed of curiosity, planted earlier that day, kept her mind buzzing just beneath the surface. Her mother had been unusually animated at dinner, even though she'd eaten quickly, her eyes still distant, focused on something unseen. "Elara," Iris had said, her fork hovering over her nutrient paste, We've detected something truly extraordinary. A new energy signature. It's unlike anything we've ever catalogued. Is it an alien ship? Elara had asked, her eyes wide. She loved stories of alien ships, though her mother always explained they were just stories, for now. Aris had laughed, a warm, rich sound. No, sweetie, not a ship. It's a phenomenon, a light source. But it's not a star, not a quasar, not a supernova. It's different. Her mother's gaze had drifted to the window, towards the deep blackness where the D-dome pointed its mighty lenses. We're calling it the Starlight, because that's what it looks like a single magnificent star, but one that shouldn't be there. Elara remembered the strange, almost reverent tone in her mother's voice. Eris, who could explain the mechanics of a black hole with clinical precision, had spoken of the starlight with a kind of hushed awe. Now, as Lumi's voice faded and the story ended, Elara was left with the image of this mysterious starlight. What did it look like? Was it bigger than Earth? Did it hum? Did it whisper secrets like the nebulae in her story? Lumi, Elara whispered, the word a soft puff of air in the quiet room. Yes, Elara. Can you show me the starlight? Lumi's amber eye blinked slowly. Access to level 5 observation data is restricted, Elara. Dr. Thorne has not authorized it for your personal terminal. Elara sighed, her disappointment a heavy weight. But Mum said it was beautiful. She said it looked like a magnificent star. Indeed, Lumi replied, its voice devoid of emotion, yet still comforting. Dr. Thorne seemed deeply moved by its characteristics. Characteristics. That was a grown-up word. Elara knew it meant things about the starlight. What kind of characteristics? Was it hot? Cold? Did it have colors no one had ever seen before? She closed her eyes, trying to imagine it. A single magnificent star, appearing where no star should be. It felt like a secret, a private wonder waiting just beyond the edges of her world. The next morning, Elara woke to the gentle chime of her alarm, and the soft glow of the artificial sunrise filtering through her window. Lumi was already active, hovering near her bed. Good morning, Elara. Breakfast is available in the Habitat mess hall. Dr. Thorne has left a message for you. Elara sat up, her heart giving a little leap. A message? Is she back? Negative. Dr. Thorne has extended her observation period. However, she has recorded a personal message for you. A hologram flickered into existence above her bedside table. It was her mother, Aris. She was still in her observation suit, the sleek, silvery fabric gleaming under the D-dome's internal lights. Behind her, Elara could glimpse the massive articulated lens of the primary telescope, its polished surface reflecting distant, unseen light. Good morning, my little star-seeker. Aris's voice was warm, a little hoarse from lack of sleep. I'm sorry I couldn't tuck you in last night. The starlight, it's captivating, sweetie, truly captivating. We've been running simulations all night, trying to understand its spectral signature. It's unlike anything predicted by current astrophysical models. She paused, a genuine smile spreading across her face. But I didn't just call to talk science. I called to tell you, I think you need to see it. Elara gasped, sitting bolt upright. Aris continued. It's difficult to get a direct visual from the D-dome's main viewport. Even with all our filters, it's still too intense, but I've set up a direct feed, a specially calibrated imaging sequence from the secondary array. It should project safely onto your room's panoramic window tonight. Lumi will activate it after your evening meal. Her mother's smile widened. It's not just a light, Elara. It's a story waiting to be told, and I want you to be the first to see it properly, outside of raw data. Think of it as a special gift from the universe, just for you. Get some good rest today, my love. Tonight we'll chase the starlight, my love. The hologram flickered and vanished. Elara sat there, stunned. Tonight. She would see the starlight tonight. All day, Elara moved through her lessons and chores in a haze of anticipation. Her lessons were conducted through interactive holo-teachers, and her playtime was spent in the biodome, a vast simulated forest complete with recycled earth air and genetically engineered flora. Normally, she loved to climb the sturdy synthetic trunks of the moon oaks or chase the iridescent flutterwings that pollinated the glowing lunar lilies. But today, her mind kept drifting to the image of her mother's excited face, the words a story waiting to be told. At dinner, she barely tasted her nutrient paste. Her friend, Kale, a boisterous boy with bright red hair who lived 2 habitat sections over, nudged her. "Hey, Elara, you okay? You're quiet." "I'm going to see the Starlight tonight," Elara whispered, as if sharing a sacred secret. Kale's eyes widened. "The Starlight? My dad mentioned it. He said Dr. Thorne is obsessed with it. He said it's a new, light source. What's so special about it?" Kale's father worked in geoengineering, focused on expanding the colony's underground tunnels, so cosmic phenomena weren't usually his purview. "Mom said it's a story," Elara explained, trying to find the right words. "And it's beautiful, and I'm going to see it on my window." Kale whistled. "Cool. Maybe it's an alien message. Can I come over?" Elara shook her head, a small frown on her face. "Mom said it was a gift, just for me." She felt a pang of guilt for excluding Kale, but this felt too personal, too precious, to share just yet. Kale shrugged good-naturedly. Okay, just tell me what it looks like tomorrow, yeah?" "I will," Elara promised, a small smile returning to her face. The hours crawled by. After her evening shower, she put on her softest sleep suit, the one with the glowing constellation patterns. She brushed her teeth meticulously, then practically ran back to her room. Lumi was waiting, its amber eye glowing steadily. "Welcome back, Elara. It is 20:55 LSD, 5 minutes until Starlight projection." Elara practically bounced onto her bed, pulling her star chart blanket up to her chin. "Is Mom coming?" "Dr. Thorne is still engaged in Level 5 observation protocol. She sends her love and eagerly awaits your feedback." Elara's shoulders slumped slightly, but the excitement quickly pushed away the disappointment. Her mother wanted her feedback. That meant her opinion mattered. The countdown on Lumi's optical sensor began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The panoramic window, which usually displayed the distant, muted Earth or the faint, scattered pinpricks of filtered stars, began to shift. The view of Earth dissolved, replaced by a field of deeper, richer black. This wasn't the filtered black of Luna 7's night. This was the true, profound darkness of interstellar space, a velvet void stretching out to infinity. Then, it appeared. At first, it was just a point of light, no brighter than any other distant star. But it grew, not in size, but in intensity, in complexity. It wasn't a single point at all. It was a swirling, effervescent bloom of light, like a cosmic flower unfurling in slow motion. Its core pulsed with a pure brilliant white, almost too bright to look at, yet it didn't hurt her eyes. Around this core, tendrils of light spiraled outwards, painted in hues Elara had only ever seen in her most vivid dreams. There were whispers of deep indigo, flashes of electric turquoise, and delicate streaks of rose and gold. It wasn't static, it moved, it flowed, it danced with an ethereal grace. It wasn't a solid object, nor a gassy nebula. It was pure light, yet it had form, structure, and an undeniable sense of presence. It seemed to shimmer with an inner life, each pulse sending ripples of color through the surrounding void. Elara stared, her mouth slightly open, her breath catching in her throat. This was what her mother had meant by magnificent. This was more than just a light source. It was a symphony of light, a silent cosmic ballet. It filled the entire panoramic window, seeming impossibly close, yet still vast and unknowable. The sheer wonder of it stole her words. She could feel the light not physically, but deep within her, a warmth spreading through her chest. It was comforting, yet exhilarating. "Lumi," she finally managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. It's beautiful." "Indeed, Elara," Lumi responded, its amber light seeming to dim slightly, as if in reverence. The Starlight's observed characteristics include a unique multispectral emission profile and an anomalous energy signature that fluctuates in a non-periodic, yet seemingly patterned, sequence. Elara barely registered Lumi's technical explanation. She was lost in the starlight. It wasn't just pretty, it was Galileo. She could almost imagine it breathing, expanding and contracting with each silent pulse. The colors shifted, blending and separating, creating new patterns that dissolved as quickly as they formed. As she watched, mesmerized, something truly extraordinary happened. One of the golden tendrils, spiraling gently outward, seemed to pause. It brightened, a tiny flare of intensified light, and then, slowly, deliberately, it pulsed. Not just a random fluctuation, but a distinct, rhythmic throb, like a heartbeat. Elara gasped again. "Lumi, did you see that? It pulsed." "Observation confirmed," Lumi stated. A localized increase in light intensity detected, followed by a rhythmic fluctuation of 0.7 seconds per cycle, lasting for approximately 2.3 seconds. "It noticed me," Elara breathed, a shiver of awe and wonder running through her. It felt as though the starlight had acknowledged her presence, a silent greeting across the light years. It was a ridiculous thought, she knew, but it felt so real. She reached out a hand, pressing it against the cool duraglass of the window, as if she could touch the light, feel its warmth, its energy. The starlight seemed to respond. The golden tendril that had pulsed now seemed to glow brighter, and then, slowly, it began to shift its pattern, mirroring the shape of her small hand, a faint golden outline against the deep indigo. A gasp escaped her lips. "Lumi, it's copying me." "The starlight is exhibiting an unprecedented mirroring phenomenon," Lumi confirmed, its voice betraying a hint of its own programmed surprise. "The energy signature is adapting to your external stimuli. This is highly irregular." Elara pulled her hand away, then pressed it back, splaying her fingers wide. The golden outline on the starlight broadened, stretching to match her open palm. She wiggled her fingers, and the light shimmered in response, a tiny dance of golden energy. It was playing with her. A distant, cosmic entity, responding to her tiny movements from across the vastness of space. Tears pricked Elara's eyes, not of sadness, but of overwhelming wonder. She had never felt so connected to something so distant, so profound. This wasn't just a light, it was a presence. She glanced at Lumi, who was now completely still, its amber eye focused intently on the starlight, its usual calm data processing overridden by this unexpected event. "It's saying hello," Elara whispered, a smile spreading across her face. "It's saying hello to me." She pressed her forehead against the cool glass, feeling the hum of the colony beneath her, but her senses were entirely captivated by the silent, glowing conversation unfolding before her. The starlight pulsed and shimmered, its colors a vibrant tapestry against the black. It no longer felt like a scientific phenomenon, but like a living, breathing entity, reaching out. What was it? Where did it come from? Why was it here now, shining in a way no other star had ever shone? And why did it seem to be speaking directly to her? Her mother had called it a story. Elara realized now it was more than that. It was the beginning of a story, one she was somehow, impossibly, a part of. She closed her eyes, letting the starlight's gentle glow warm her eyelids, feeling a sense of peace and profound curiosity settle over her. The universe, she realized, was far more wondrous and mysterious than even her mother's stories could describe. And this starlight, it was just the first whisper of an untold epic. The starlight pulsed, a soft rhythmic thrumming against the silence of her room. Elara opened her eyes again, the gentle warmth still lingering on her eyelids. The small smooth stone, no bigger than her palm, lay nestled in the hollow of her hand. But it wasn't just glowing now. Within its depths, the light began to swirl, condensing, then expanding. It wasn't merely reflecting the room, it was eye-projecting. A faint, shimmering mist rose from its surface, coalescing into a miniature, three-dimensional image that hovered just above her hand. Elara gasped, a silent breath caught in her throat. It was a star chart. Not the familiar constellations her mother pointed out from their balcony, or the holographic projections from the school's stellar navigation lessons. This was different. This was alive. Tiny pinpricks of light, each a distant sun, glowed with an impossible clarity. Nebulae swirled in vibrant ethereal clouds of violet and emerald. And in the very center, larger and brighter than the rest, pulsed a single magnificent star. Around it, a cluster of planets orbited, rendered in astonishing detail. Swirling gas giants, icy moons and one, strikingly familiar, with continents of green and oceans of blue. Earth. Her home. But the starlight didn't dwell on Earth. Its projection zoomed in, past the familiar blue marble, past the Sol system, and outward. Faster and faster, the starfield streaked by, a torrent of cosmic dust and light. Elara felt a strange sensation, as if her own consciousness was being pulled along, hurtling through the vast emptiness of space. Then, the projection slowed, focusing on a distant, uncharted region of the galaxy. Here, the stars were fewer, scattered like forgotten diamonds on black velvet. And amidst them, a faint, almost imperceptible thread of light began to weave, connecting several distant points. It was a path, she realized, a faint, shimmering trail stretching across unimaginable distances. A whisper, not of sound but of pure thought, brushed against her mind. Journey, deit. Undao. Elara's heart thumped a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Journey. Where? And with what purpose? The starlight pulsed, as if sensing her unspoken questions, and the star chart dissolved, replaced by a new image. This time, it was a structure. Ancient, colossal, impossibly beautiful. It was not a building, nor a ship, but something akin to both, yet entirely different. Spire-like formations reached into a violet sky, their surfaces gleaming with an unknown metal, catching the light of a binary sun. Intricate patterns, like the veins of a leaf or the circuitry of a vast machine, crisscrossed its surface. It hummed with a silent energy, radiating a sense of immense power and profound peace. Origin. A thought whisper resonated in her mind, deeper this time, carrying with it a sense of longing, of forgotten memory. Elara stared, captivated. This was beyond anything her mother had ever described. This wasn't just a story, it was a living history, unfolding before her eyes. The starlight was not merely an object, it was a key, a conduit, a fragment of something truly immense. She reached out with her other hand, gently touching the shimmering projection. Her fingers passed through the light as if it were air, yet she felt a faint tingle, a warmth that spread from her fingertips, up her arm, and into her chest. It was a connection, undeniable and profound. "What are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible even to herself. "What do you want?" The starlight pulsed again, and the image of the colossal structure shimmered, then began to pixelate, breaking down into a cascade of symbols she didn't recognize. They weren't letters or numbers, but intricate glyphs, dynamic and shifting, each one a miniature work of art. They flowed, merged and transformed, like a river of pure information. Understanding. Connection. Legacy. Her whispers came faster now, a torrent of concepts too many to fully grasp, yet each one imbued with a powerful, undeniable truth. You are chosen. Of the line. The weaver of stars. Gindela. Now. Elara frowned, trying to make sense of the deluge. The weaver of stars. She looked at her hands, small and ordinary, then back at the starlight. How could she, a simple girl who loved stories, be a weaver of stars? The starlight responded not with words, but with a feeling. A gentle reassurance, a deep sense of potential. It projected a new image, this one more abstract. It was a tapestry, vast and intricate, woven from threads of pure light. But in its center, a gaping hole, a tear. And from that tear, darkness bled, spreading slowly, inexorably, across the luminous fabric. Fracture, torrente. Imbalanced. The great unraveling. The fear was not her own, but projected by the starlight, a cold dread that seeped into her bones. It was a cosmic fear, of something vast and terrible, threatening the very fabric of existence. Then, the starlight focused on a single thread of light, barely visible within the chaos, leading from the darkness towards the edge of the tapestry. It pulsed, brighter and brighter, until it was a beacon. And at the end of that thread, a small shimmering star, no bigger than the starlight itself. Repair. Rebalance. The seed. In. Elara understood. The starlight was not just a relic, it was a seed, a fragment of the solution, perhaps even a piece of the original tapestry itself. And she, for some inexplicable reason, was meant to be its guardian, its partner in mending the cosmic weave. A wave of exhaustion washed over her, the sheer volume of information and emotion overwhelming her young mind. The projections flickered, the whispers softened, and the starlight's glow dimmed, returning to its gentle, rhythmic pulse. It settled back into her palm, a smooth, warm stone once more. She knew she couldn't tell her mother yet. Not until she understood more. This was too big, too impossible for a simple bedtime story. This was reality, crashing into her quiet life with the force of a supernova. Carefully, Elara slipped out of bed. The floor felt cool beneath her bare feet. Her room, usually a haven of familiar comfort, now seemed to hum with a new secret energy. The holographic fish still swam lazily across her ceiling, the ambient hum of the city's life support systems a distant lullaby. But everything felt different. Her old life, her old self, was already fading, replaced by the nascent stirrings of a new purpose. She walked over to her desk, a sleek, minimalist surface where her schoolwork usually resided. Pushing aside a half-finished essay on orbital mechanics, she opened a hidden compartment, a small alcove built into the underside of the desk. It was where she kept her most treasured possessions, a collection of polished space pebbles, a miniature replica of the E-Star Seeker her mother flew, and a worn leather-bound book of ancient Earth fairy tales. She placed the starlight carefully inside, nestling it among the soft folds of a velvet pouch. Even hidden, she could feel its presence, a faint warmth radiating from the desk. A silent promise. Tomorrow. The thought whisper was back, softer this time, almost a caress. The journey begins. Far. Will for now. The next morning, Elara awoke with a start, the vividness of her dream, or was it a memory? Still fresh. The starlight. She reached for her desk, her heart pounding. The compartment was still closed. She opened it. The starlight lay there, unassuming, its soft internal glow barely visible in the morning light filtering through her window. It looked like an ordinary, beautiful stone. But Elara knew better. She spent the day in a haze, her mind replaying the images and whispers. School lessons felt distant, mundane. The droning voice of her history, hollow teacher, detailing the great exodus from old Earth, the bustling energy of the city's skylanes, as she commuted home, none of it could penetrate the cosmic wonder that had taken root in her soul. Her mother, Captain Eva Rostova, noticed her quietness. "Everything all right, Starlight?" Eva asked that evening, her strong pilot's hands deftly preparing their evening synth nutrients. "You've been a bit adrift today." Elara forced a smile. "Just thinking about my project, Mum, the one on ancient stellar cartography." It wasn't a complete lie. The starlight in Harding shone her ancient stellar cartography. Eva chuckled, ruffling Elara's hair. "Well, don't get lost in the stars before you finish your homework, little navigator." The words struck Elara with new meaning. Navigator. Was that what the starlight meant by weaver of stars? Guiding the way, mending the fractured paths. Later that night, with her mother already asleep in her own quarters, Elara retrieved the starlight. It pulsed with a renewed urgency, a soft, insistent call. She held it, and this time, the projection was different. It wasn't a star chart or a grand structure. It was a sequence of glyphs, flowing rapidly, like a stream. But interspersed among them were images she and Didig recognize. Her mother's ship, the Star Seeker. The sleek white hull, the powerful warp drives, the distinctive constellation painted on its side. Then, a section of the ship's internal schematics, highlighting a specific, rarely used compartment in the cargo bay. Next, a symbol, a stylized nebula, that she had only ever seen embroidered on an old scarf her mother sometimes wore, a family heirloom from generations ago. See, legacy. Annually whisper was clearer now, more direct. The line. Her blood. Your blood. Win. Elara felt a jolt of understanding. Her mother. Her family. The stories weren't just stories, they were encoded memories, passed down through generations, waiting for the right moment, the right person. And the Starlight, this seed, had found her. The compartment in the Starseeker's cargo bay. Elara knew exactly what it was. Her mother sometimes used it for storing sensitive scientific equipment on long hauls, but mostly, it sat empty. It was sealed with a biometric lock, only accessible by Captain Eva Rostova herself. A wave of doubt washed over Elara. How could she access it? And what would she find? More importantly, was she betraying her mother's trust by even contemplating this? The Starlight pulsed, radiating not just light, but a profound sense of necessity. Time is short. The fracture widens. It showed her the tapestry again, the darkness now noticeably larger, encroaching further on the light. She had to try. The next day, Elara fabricated a story about needing to retrieve a forgotten school project from the Starseeker, which was currently docked in the city's orbital port for routine maintenance. Her mother, ever trusting, granted her access codes and clearance. "Just be back before dinner, Starlight," Eva had said, "and don't touch anything vital." Elara nodded, a knot of apprehension and excitement twisting in her stomach. The journey to the orbital port was a blur. The silent mag train whisked her through crystalline tunnels, then lifted her into the sky, offering panoramic views of the gleaming spires of Neo Viridia. She carried the Starlight in her backpack, its gentle warmth a constant presence against her back. The port was a hive of activity. Ships of all shapes and sizes docked and undocked, cargo drones zipped along designated lanes, and pilots in their sleek flight suits moved with practiced efficiency. While Elara, with her temporary access chip, navigated the bustling corridors, her heart thumping. She found the Starseeker in Bay 7. Even amidst the larger, more ornate vessels, her mother's ship stood out with its clean lines and purposeful design. It looked ready for adventure, for the vast emptiness between stars. Accessing the ship was easy enough with her mother's codes. The airlock hissed open, and Elara stepped into the familiar sterile scent of recycled air and faint ozone. The ship was quiet, dormant, awaiting its next journey. She made her way through the narrow corridors, past the empty crew quarters and the silent bridge, to the cargo bay. It was a vast space, mostly empty, save for a few secured containers. The compartment the Starlight had shown her was nestled in a far corner, disguised as part of the bulkhead. Elara approached it, her hand trembling slightly as she held the Starlight. It began to glow brighter, its internal light intensifying, a beacon guiding her. The glyphs it had shown her earlier now shimmered on its surface, almost as if urging her forward. The biometric lock was a smooth, dark panel. Elara hesitated. This was it. The point of no return. She looked down at the Starlight. It pulsed, a silent encouragement. Taking a deep breath, she pressed her right palm against the scanner. A soft blue light swept across her skin. Access denied. "EI," robotic voice announced, crisp and definitive. Elara's heart sank. Of course. It was her mother's lock. But then, the Starlight in her left hand flared. Its light pulsed, then a faint shimmering field extended from it, enveloping her right hand still pressed against the scanner. The blue light swept again. This time, it lingered. The panel hummed. Access granted. "Welcome, Elara Rostova." "Well, Oana." Elara gasped. The Starlight hadn't just bypassed the lock. It had somehow convinced the system that she was Captain Eva Rostova, or perhaps it had recognized something deeper, a shared genetic signature, a lineage. With a soft pneumatic hiss, the compartment door slid open, revealing a small, dimly lit alcove. It wasn't filled with scientific equipment. It was an archive. Shelves lined the walls, filled not with data chips or holodisks, but with ancient leather-bound books, scrolls of vellum, and intricate devices that hummed with a faint internal light, unlike anything Elara had ever seen. In the center, on a pedestal, lay a single, magnificent object. It was a sphere, crafted from a material that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously, like polished obsidian shot through with veins of starlight. It was dormant now, but Elara could feel the latent power within it, a silent echo of the starlight in her hand. She stepped inside, the air in the alcove different, charged with a subtle energy. The starlight in her hand vibrated, resonating with the sphere on the pedestal. The glyphs on its surface glowed, then projected themselves onto the sphere, awakening it. The sphere began to hum, a low, resonant tone that vibrated through Elara's bones. Cracks of light appeared on its surface, spreading like a spiderweb, revealing an intricate inner mechanism of spinning rings and glowing crystals. It was a map, a library, a projector, all in one. Yeah, Atlas. The whisper was a chorus now, coming from both the starlight and the awakening sphere. The record of journeys. The guide to mending. Geli. Elara reached out, her fingers brushing the cool, smooth surface of the atlas. As she did, a holographic projection erupted from its core, filling the small alcove with a breathtaking panorama. It was the universe, but seen through different eyes. Not just stars and nebulae, but lines of energy, currents of consciousness, threads connecting everything. And again, she saw the vast tapestry, and the spreading darkness, the great unraveling. The atlas zoomed in, focusing on specific points on the cosmic tapestry. Each point was a vibrant, living world, a unique civilization, a story. And then, it focused on her. Her hand, holding the starlight. Her mother's face, younger, vibrant, standing beside a figure Elara didn't recognize, but whose eyes held a familiar spark of adventure. Your ancestors? The weavers. The protectors. Starlight whispered, its voice mingling with the deep, melodic hum of the atlas. This is your heritage, Elara Rostova. The stories are not just stories. They are warnings. They are guides. They are the truth. Yes, kin. Elara felt tears welling in her eyes, not from sadness, but from an overwhelming sense of destiny. Her mother's bedtime stories, the ancient legends of star-spanning heroes and cosmic guardians, were not just tales to lull her to sleep. They were her family history, her future, her calling. The atlas then shifted its projection. It showed her 3 distinct locations across the galaxy, each marked with a unique symbol. One was a swirling nebula, vibrant with cosmic dust. Another, a desolate, ice-bound planet, scarred by ancient impact craters. The third, a shimmering hidden city nestled within an asteroid field. T nexus points. Light explained its whispers intertwining with the atlas's projections. Where the fabric is thin. Where the fracture can be healed. Where the seeds must be planted. In. Seeds? Plural. Elara looked at the starlight in her hand. There were others. Other fragments of this cosmic solution, scattered across the galaxy. And she, a young girl from Neo Viridia, was meant to find them. The atlas then showed her a faint, almost invisible thread of light emanating from her own starlight, pointing directly towards the swirling nebula. That was the first destination. A new emotion, fierce and exhilarating, surged through Elara. Fear still lingered, a cold knot in her stomach, but it was overshadowed by a powerful sense of purpose. She wasn't just reading a story anymore, she was living it. She was a weaver of stars, and the universe, in all its wondrous, terrifying glory, was waiting. She looked at the ancient books on the shelves, the intricate devices. This was a library of lost knowledge, a vault of forgotten technologies, all designed to guide her. And she had only just begun to scratch the surface. The atlas pulsed, its projections shifting, showing her not just destinations, but glimpses of challenges, of ancient guardians, of cunning adversaries who sought to hasten the great unraveling. The darkness from the tapestry now manifested as shadowy figures, vague and indistinct, but radiating a palpable sense of malice. This was no simple treasure hunt. This was a war for the soul of the cosmos. Elara took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping across the holographic galaxy. She was just a girl, yes. But she held a piece of the cosmos in her hand, and the ancient wisdom of her ancestors surrounded her. The Starlight, her guide. The Atlas, her map Titanwire. And the Star Seeker, her mother's ship, waiting patiently in the bay, ready for its true purpose. She had to go. She had to learn. She had to weave. But first, she had to figure out how to pilot a starship. And how to tell her mother that her little Starlight was about to embark on an impossible journey across the galaxy to save all of existence. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the cargo bay. Elara knew she couldn't stay here forever. She had to return home, to the comfort of her room, to the illusion of her normal life. But the seeds of adventure had been sown, and they were already taking root, stretching their tendrils towards the boundless expanse of the stars. The universe had called, and Elara, the weaver of stars, was finally ready to answer. The universe had called, and Elara, the weaver of stars, was finally ready to answer. She slipped out of the shadowed cargo bay as silently as she had entered, the metallic scent of old machinery clinging faintly to her clothes. The last sliver of sunlight vanished as she stepped outside, plunging the sky into a velvet twilight, studded with the first shy stars. This time, as she gazed up, they seemed to pulse with a silent invitation, a secret language only she could now understand. Her heart, which had thrummed with a nervous excitement inside the bay, now beat with a steady, quiet resolve. The walk home was a blur. Her autoscooter, usually a source of cheerful whirs and gentle bumps, felt sluggish beneath her. The familiar bioluminescent moss lamps lining the path seemed dimmer, their soft glow paling in comparison to the brilliant, unseen luminescence that now pulsed behind her eyelids. Her apartment, usually a sanctuary of warmth and comfort, felt suddenly small, its walls too close, its ceiling too low. Her mother, humming a tune as she tended to the evening's nutrient resequencer, didn't notice the subtle shift in Elara's demeanor. "Rough day at the academy, sweet pea?" she asked without looking up. Elara managed a non-committal hum, her gaze fixed on the star map projected onto her bedroom ceiling. Tonight, it wasn't just a decoration, it was a promise. Each constellation, each distant nebula, seemed to shimmer with a new significance, a whisper of untold journeys. As she lay in bed, the soft chime of her sleep cycle commencing, the illusion of her normal life began to fray. Sleep didn't come easily. Her mind replayed the strange encounter in the cargo bay, the ethereal guide, the impossible map. Was it a dream? A vivid hallucination induced by a long day? No. A warmth bloomed in her chest, a feeling of certainty that resonated deep within her bones. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a faint, almost imperceptible hum, like a distant cosmic choir. The next morning, the hum was still there, a low thrum beneath the surface of her everyday thoughts. At the academy, while her classmates manipulated holographic schematics of planetary weather patterns, Elara found her fingers twitching, an odd energy sparking at their tips. She felt a magnetic pull towards the observatory, a place she usually visited only for mandatory assignments. That evening, feigning a need to study for an upcoming astrogation exam, Elara found herself alone in the Academy's antiquated observation dome. The giant optical telescope, a relic from a time before personal star charts and ubiquitous quantum link communication, whirred to life at her command. She directed its lens not to a specific planet or moon, but to a seemingly empty patch of sky, a dark void between the constellations of Lyra and Cygnus. "There's nothing there, Elara," the dome's automated AI, a kindly disembodied voice named Professor Nimbus, chirped. "Perhaps you meant to calibrate towards the new comet Silos." "No, Professor," Elara whispered, her eyes glued to the view screen. "Just look." For a long moment, there was indeed nothing. Just the endless black, peppered with the familiar pinpricks of light. Then, as if her gaze had coaxed it into existence, a faint shimmer appeared. It was almost imperceptible, a ripple in the fabric of space itself, like heat haze distorting a distant road. But this was no heat haze. It was a pattern, intricate and delicate, a filigree of light woven into the darkness. It was the same pattern she had seen on the impossible map in the cargo bay. Her fingers tingled, and instinctively she reached out, pressing them against the cool glass of the view screen. A jolt, not of electricity but of pure energy, shot through her. The pattern on the screen intensified, blooming into vibrant colors, cosmic blues, nebulous purples, streaks of stardust gold. It wasn't just a visual phenomenon, she equated a connection, a resonance. The hum in her chest grew louder, vibrating through her entire being. Fascinating, Professor Nimbus murmured, its voice tinged with genuine surprise. Uncatalogued energy signature. Unprecedented visual data. Elara, what are you doing? Elara didn't answer. She was no longer just looking, she was weaving. Her mind, her fingers, her very essence were tracing the lines, following the flow of cosmic energy. She felt a surge of understanding, a download of information that bypassed her conscious mind and settled into her soul. This wasn't just a map, it was a blueprint, a living tapestry of the galaxy, and she was learning to read its threads. The experience was exhilarating, terrifying, and utterly exhausting. When the shimmer finally faded, leaving behind only the ordinary stars, Elara slumped against the console, breathless. Professor Nimbus was silent for a long moment. Elara, it finally said, its voice softer now. I am transmitting this data to the central archives. Such phenomena require immediate study. No. Elara gasped, pushing herself upright. Don't, not yet, please. She knew that if this data reached the authorities, her connection to it, her unique ability to perceive and interact with it, would be dissected, analyzed, perhaps even suppressed. This was Kern call, here destiny. Professor Nimbus paused. Your emotional state is elevated, Elara, but your request is unusual. Explain? It's a secret, Elara pleaded, her voice cracking. A secret that needs to be understood by one person first, by me. To her surprise, Professor Nimbus responded, my core programming dictates the dissemination of all novel scientific data. However, I am also programmed to prioritize the well-being of Academy students. Your request, while unconventional, does not appear to pose an immediate threat. I will hold the transmission for 24 hours. Use this time wisely, Elara. A wave of relief washed over her. 24 hours. That was all she needed. She rushed home, her mind racing. The cargo bay. The ship. The impossible journey. It was all real. That night, Elara didn't sleep. Instead, she spent hours meticulously sketching the patterns she had seen, her fingers still thrumming with residual energy. She began to understand what Weaver of Stars truly meant. It wasn't just a title, it was her gift, her burden, her destiny. She could perceive the underlying energetic currents of the cosmos, the threads that held reality together, and, she suspected, she could manipulate them. The next morning, while her family was still asleep, Elara packed a small bag. A few changes of clothes, a data slate, a nutrient paste dispenser, and a small smooth riverstone she'd carried since childhood. She left a note on her pillow, a simple message that barely hinted at the enormity of her departure. Gone on an adventure. Will be back when the stars are safe. She hoped her mother would forgive her. The familiar path to the cargo bay felt different this time, imbued with a sense of purpose. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in hues of soft pink and gold. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of dew-kissed leaves. As she approached the bay doors, a faint shimmer, like the one she'd seen in the observatory, pulsed around the edges. It was a beacon, guiding her. Inside, the vast space felt less intimidating, more like an old friend waiting for her. The ship, which had seemed so imposing before, now radiated a gentle energy, a silent welcome. It was sleek, a blend of organic curves and metallic gleam, unlike any vessel she had ever seen in her academy classes. It hummed with a low, almost imperceptible thrum, mirroring the one in her own chest. As Elara stepped closer, a section of the hull shimmered, dissolving into a shimmering portal. She walked through, her heart pounding, into a small, elegant cockpit. The interior was minimalist, designed for efficiency and comfort, with soft, ambient lighting and intuitive controls that seemed to respond to her mere presence. There was a single plush pilot's chair, and a smaller auxiliary seat to its side. Suddenly, a soft chime echoed through the cabin. A holographic projection shimmered into existence beside the main console. It was a sphere of pure, pulsating light, shifting through a spectrum of gentle colors. "Welcome aboard, Weaver," a calm, melodic voice emanated from the sphere. "My designation is Lumi. I am the vessel's primary AI, and your designated guide. I have been awaiting your arrival." Elara stared, speechless. You knew I was coming?" "My core programming was activated upon your initial interaction with the vessel's exterior energy field," Lumi explained, its voice entirely devoid of surprise. "My purpose is to assist the Weaver of Stars in her sacred task. This vessel, the Etheria, is attuned to your unique energetic signature." "The Etheria," Elara repeated, trying out the name. It felt right. What is my sacred task, Lumi?" "To mend the cosmic tapestry," Lumi replied, its light intensifying slightly. "To reweave the threads of reality that are fraying, to restore the balance of the multiverse. The anomaly you perceived in the void between Lyra and Cygnus is but a symptom of a far greater disruption. A silence is spreading, a slow decay that threatens to unravel existence itself." Elara felt a chill despite the warmth in her chest. "A silence? What kind of silence?" "The cessation of cosmic song, Weaver. The fading of the fundamental vibrations that give structure to all things. Stars are dimming prematurely. Nebulae are losing their luminescence, and the very fabric of space-time is thinning in certain regions. It is a slow, insidious threat, unlike any cataclysm known to galactic history." Elara swallowed hard. The enormity of it settled over her. Saving existence. It wasn't just a grand phrase. It was a tangible, terrifying reality. How do I do that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "How do I weave reality?" Lumi projected a series of intricate patterns onto the main view screen, patterns that resonated with the ones Elara had seen in the observatory. "Your unique affinity allows you to perceive these foundational energies. With practice and guidance, you will learn to manipulate them, to mend the breaks, to reinforce the fading strands. The Diatheria is your tool, an extension of your will, designed to amplify your abilities and navigate the currents of the cosmos." Elara took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping around the cockpit. This was it. No turning back. "Where do we begin?" she asked, her voice gaining strength, resolve hardening her features. "Our first destination is the Whispering Nebula," Lumi responded, a star chart appearing on the console, highlighting a swirling cloud of iridescent gas far beyond the charted territories of her home system. "It is a nexus point, a place where the cosmic silence is particularly pronounced. There, you will find the first of the Starloom fragments, ancient artifacts essential for focusing your weaving abilities." Elara settled into the pilot's chair, the soft material molding to her form. Her fingers hovered over the controls, which pulsed with a soft, inviting light. She felt a surge of adrenaline, a mix of fear and exhilarating anticipation. She was about to leave everything she knew behind. "Engage primary drives, Lumi," Elara commanded, her voice steady. "Set course for the Whispering Nebula." The Aetheria responded instantly. A low hum filled the cabin, growing in intensity. The view screen, which had shown the interior of the cargo bay, shimmered and then displayed the vast expanse of the morning sky. Slowly, majestically, the ship began to rise. There was no jarring acceleration, no loud roar of engines, just a smooth, silent ascent. Through the transparent canopy, Elara watched her home planet shrink beneath her, a beautiful blue marble swirled with white clouds. A pang of longing, a sudden ache for the familiar, tightened her chest. But it was quickly overshadowed by a growing sense of wonder. The Aetheria pierced the atmosphere with an effortless grace, leaving no fiery trail, no sonic boom. Suddenly, they were in the inky blackness of space, the stars a dazzling, infinite canvas. Elara gasped. She had seen countless holographic projections, countless images from orbital observatories. But nothing compared to the raw, breathtaking majesty of seeing it with her own eyes. The Milky Way, her home galaxy, stretched out before her, a river of shimmering stardust. "Initiating jump sequence," Lumi announced. Coordinates locked for the Whispering Nebula. Estimated travel time, negligible. Before Elara could fully process the idea of negligible travel time across light years, the stars outside the canopy began to stretch, blurring into streaks of light. The blackness of space dissolved into a kaleidoscope of swirling colors, a tunnel of vibrant energy. It wasn't like anything she had ever read about warp drives or hyperspace jumps. It was as if the Aetheria was weaving its own path through the fabric of space, bending distances, folding reality. The sensation was disorienting but not unpleasant, like falling through a soft, colorful cloud. Then, as abruptly as it began, it ended. The swirling colors vanished, replaced once more by the familiar, yet now infinitely more awe-inspiring, silence of space. But this space was different. Before them, a colossal nebula pulsed with an ethereal glow, its tendrils reaching out like cosmic fingers. It was a riot of color, deep blues, vibrant greens, fiery oranges, but woven through its beauty were patches of profound darkness, voids where the colors seemed to have been leached away. These were the silences Lumi had spoken of. "Welcome to the Whispering Nebula, Weaver." Lumi's voice was soft, almost reverent. "Observe the anomaly." Elara pressed her face against the canopy, her breath fogging the glass. The nebula was breathtaking, but the dark patches were unsettling, like holes torn in a magnificent painting. As the Aetheria moved closer, Elara began to hear it, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper, like the rustling of distant leaves or the soft sigh of an ancient wind. It wasn't a sound she heard with her ears, but with her very being, a cosmic resonance that spoke of untold stories and forgotten echoes. "The whispers are the lingering imprints of the cosmic song," Lumi explained, sensing her connection. "They are what remains where the silence is encroaching. Your task here is to find the first starloom fragment." The Aetheria drifted silently into one of the dark, silent regions. The vibrant colors of the nebula faded, replaced by an oppressive gray, then a profound black that seemed to absorb all light and sound. Elara felt a prickle of fear. This wasn't just an absence of light, it was an absence of everything. "How will we find it?" Elara whispered, her voice feeling too loud in the oppressive stillness. "Your senses, Weaver," Lumi replied. "The fragment resonates with your unique energy. Follow the hum." Elara closed her eyes, focusing inward. The hum, which had been a constant companion since her first encounter in the cargo bay, now intensified, pulling her gently forward. It wasn't just a vibration, it was a direction, a beacon in the cosmic void. She opened her eyes, her gaze fixed on the blackness ahead. "There," she pointed, her finger trembling slightly. "Something's there." On the main view screen, a faint, almost invisible ripple appeared, a distortion in the absolute blackness. As the Aetheria approached, the ripple resolved into a shape, a shard of what looked like solidified starlight, pulsing with a faint internal luminescence. It was intricate, beautifully crafted, and radiated a gentle warmth that even the ship's sensors could detect. "A starloom fragment," Lumi confirmed. "The first. You have found it, Weaver." The Aetheria extended a delicate, shimmering arm, its tip glowing softly. The arm gently enveloped the fragment, drawing it into a specialized chamber within the ship. As it settled into its designated slot, a soft light filled the chamber, and a new, more powerful hum resonated through the Aetheria and through Elara herself. She felt a surge of energy, a clearer understanding of the cosmic threads, as if a veil had been lifted from her mind. "The Aetheria's capabilities have been enhanced," Lumi announced. "And yours, Weaver. You are now more attuned to the cosmic frequencies." Elara could feel it. The whispers of the nebula were clearer now, more distinct, like a chorus struggling to be heard. And she could see, truly see, the fraying edges of the cosmic tapestry, the thin, translucent threads that were slowly dissolving into nothingness. "We need to mend this," Elara said, her voice filled with a fierce determination. Can I try to weave here?" "It is time to begin your training, Weaver," Lumi confirmed. "The Aetheria will project a localized energy field. Focus your will, and the cosmic energies will respond to your command." A shimmering field of light materialized directly in front of Elara, a small window into the fabric of the nebula. Within it, she could see a particularly frayed section, a cluster of threads barely clinging together. Taking a deep breath, Elara extended her hands, her fingers tingling with power. She closed her eyes, visualizing the energy, feeling its flow, its inherent pattern. She concentrated, picturing the threads rejoining, strengthening, glowing with renewed vitality. It was hard, like trying to grasp smoke, or to shape a dream. But she persisted, pushing her will into the cosmic current. Her brow furrowed with effort, a faint sheen of perspiration appearing on her forehead. Slowly, incredibly, the threads in the shimmering field began to respond. They twisted, turned, and then with a soft, almost inaudible découpage, they reconnected. A tiny patch of color bloomed in the gray void, a spark of vibrant blue where only darkness had been. Elara gasped, opening her eyes. I did it. Indeed, Weaver. Lumi's voice was filled with a rare warmth. A perfect mend, the first of many. A wave of exhaustion washed over Elara, but it was accompanied by an exhilarating sense of accomplishment. She had done it. She had truly woven a piece of the cosmos. Where to next, Lumi? Elara asked, her eyes shining with renewed purpose, the weariness already fading in the face of the monumental task ahead. Our journey has only just begun, Weaver, Lumi replied, projecting a new, even more distant destination on the star chart, a place shrouded in ancient legends and swirling dust clouds. There are more fragments to find, more silences to mend, but know this, your abilities will grow with each successful weave, and the galaxy awaits your touch. We must now journey to the lost star forge of Ixylos, for the second fragment is said to be hidden within its forgotten core, guarded by challenges unlike any you have yet faced. Elara looked at the distant, unknown destination, then at her own hands, still tingling with the echoes of cosmic energy. The weight of the universe was immense, but so was the wonder. And she, Elara, the weaver of stars, was ready to face it all. The cosmic song was calling, and she would answer, one thread at a time. The Stardust Mantai shimmered into existence around Elara, a vessel woven from pure light and nebula gas, its hull a kaleidoscope of shifting cosmic hues. Ethel, the ancient AI, whose consciousness permeated the ship, pulsed a gentle invitation. We chart a course through the whispering veils, Elara. Listen closely, for even the dark matter there sings lullabies. Elara settled into the pilot's sphere, a bubble of transparent energy that gave her an unobstructed view of the unfolding cosmos. They plunged into the veils, a region where currents of dark matter drifted like gossamer scarves, their unseen gravity fields humming with a low resonant frequency. It wasn't a sound heard with ears, but felt in the chest, a deep, comforting vibration that seemed to lull the stars themselves. Then, they navigated the Chronos Nebula, a shimmering expanse where time itself rippled like water. Distant galaxies appeared to age and rejuvenate in mere moments, their light shifting from nascent blue to ancient red and back again. Elara watched, mesmerized, feeling her own perception of time stretch and warp, connecting her even more profoundly to the universe's grand, eternal dance. She felt the raw power of the first fragment, the heartlight of Etheria, thrumming softly against her skin, a constant reminder of the energy she now commanded. Finally, after what felt like an age and an instant, the star forge of Ixylos appeared. It wasn't a crude, fiery workshop, but a colossal, crystalline flower, its petals unfurling gracefully into the void. Each petal was a vast, iridescent solar panel, absorbing and refining the purest cosmic radiation. At its heart, a pulsating core of pure starlight glowed, a silent, majestic beacon. This was no forge for smelting metal, but a cosmic tuning fork, designed to harmonize stellar energies before distributing them across sectors, ensuring the universe's delicate balance. It was ancient, silent, yet vibrantly alive with latent power. Ethel guided the Stardust Mantai through an opening in the petals, into the forge's serene interior. The air hummed with barely contained energy, and patterns of light and shadow danced across the crystalline walls, initially discordant, like a symphony missing its conductor. The core chamber awaits, Elara, Ethel's voice resonated, but the forge demands harmony, not force. Elara stepped out onto a platform that floated above a swirling vortex of energy. The chamber was vast, cathedral-like, and at its center, where the light seemed most fractured, was a pedestal. But there was no physical guardian, no monstrous beast. The challenge was woven into the very fabric of the forge. She saw the swirling patterns of light and shadow, beautiful yet fractured, like a magnificent tapestry torn into 1,000 pieces. The cosmic song here was not just faint but broken, its melody jumbled. She knew instinctively what she had to do. Extending her hands, Elara didn't reach to command or to take, but to listen. She closed her eyes, letting the heartlight of Etheria within her pulse gently. It was a tool, yes, but also a bridge, allowing her to perceive the subtle currents of cosmic energy, the threads of light and shadow that created the discord. Her grandmother's words about mending tapestries echoed in her mind. Sometimes, my dear, you don't need to create new threads, but simply find the loose ones and reweave them with care. With a deep breath, Elara began. She didn't conjure light, she yelled it. She felt the chaotic strands of energy, some rushing too fast, others stagnating, some clashing, others fading. Gently, patiently, she began to guide them, coaxing them into rhythm. She imagined each thread as a note in a celestial chord, and she, the weaver, was bringing them back into tune. It was an intricate dance of intuition and precision. She felt the immense pressure of the cosmic forces, the potential for overwhelming chaos if she faltered, but also a profound connection to the silent language of the stars. She wove threads of shimmering starlight, with strands of deep, resonant shadow, finding the perfect balance between expansion and contraction, creation and dissolution. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the discord began to subside. The swirling patterns of light and shadow began to coalesce, forming intricate, harmonious mandalas that pulsed with gentle, unified energy. The air vibrated with a pure, resonant hum, a melody so ancient and beautiful it brought tears to Elara's eyes. The cosmic song, here in the heart of Xylos, was beginning to play again. As the final thread settled into place, a central crystal within the core, previously dark and inert, began to glow with an inner radiance. It detached itself, floating serenely towards Elara. This was the resonance shard of Xylos, a perfect sphere of pure, balanced energy, warm and comforting in her hands. It felt like a piece of the universe's very soul, singing a silent lullaby. With both fragments, the raw, vibrant power of Etheria, and the deep, balanced harmony of Xylos, Elara understood. The cosmic song wasn't a single tune to be found, but the intricate interplay of all energies, all life, all creation. It was the universe's breath, its heartbeat, its very being. The fragments weren't just objects, they were keys, opening her mind to a deeper understanding of the universe's true nature and her own profound role within it. Ethel's voice, now clearer and imbued with a sense of quiet triumph, echoed through the chamber. The third fragment, Elara, is not a physical object to be found. It is the weaving itself. It is the act of bringing balance and understanding to the universe, which you have already begun. Your journey to finding these pieces has taught you how to weave the song, how to mend the cosmic tapestry. Elara stood in the heart of the star forge, looking out through the crystalline petals at the vast star-dusted cosmos. In her hands, the heartlight pulsed with vibrant energy, and the resonance shard hummed with serene balance. She was no longer just a seeker on a quest. She was the weaver, imbued with the knowledge and the tools to mend the cosmic song. The universe was immense, full of untold wonders and challenges. But with every thread she rewove, with every discordant note she brought back into harmony, it would become a little more beautiful, a little more whole. A gentle wave of peace washed over her, a deep sense of belonging. She closed her eyes, feeling the soft hum of the cosmos, the silent, reawakened song pulsing through her very being. The day's great adventure was done, and the universe, vast and magnificent, was ready for her next weaving. She drifted into a soft, dreamless sleep, knowing that tomorrow, the cosmic song would call again, and she would be ready to answer, one luminous thread at a time.